Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being, American, and YouTube Ronin. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's episode of Live from Sparkwood in 21. This series chronicles the cult classic 1990s television series Twin Peaks and its 2017 return, which aired on Showtime. And now to the films of David Lynch. Last couple of weeks we have been covering Inland Empire. We watched the first half. Last week the second half. And, well, we've got a few things to say. Before we do all that, I do want to say hello to everyone currently joining us on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Here in the live chat, channel member JPRPH1, Faithful Blue Wrench, channel member, the Bird Woman of YouTube. Watch out for channel Fluffcheck Productions. It's Connie Cleary. The Tired Midnight Blogger, the voice of Northern Oklahoma. Nothing to see here, citizen. It's Curtis Selby. Host of Films with Friends, the creator of the 10-Word Review. His latest video, the review on The Materialists, can currently be found on his channel, Big Al Presents. Channel member Usarn G. Nathaniel Arvin in the house. Good to see you, brother. Yes, this will be a deep dive, indeed. There's going to be slides and everything. Okay. Scrolling down. I do not want to miss anyone. Angia Black is with us. All right. Joining me on this Odyssey, it's a group of super fans. They are waiting patiently backstage, so I'm going to bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, Aged Boomer.
Hello. Good to be here.
Justice for Flappy.
Yes, justice for Flappy. He used to take deep dives in the Kyle MacLachlan's hair gel. I'm just saying. It used to happen.
Netters Network. Okay, moving on.
Remember, you have to have Troy on first because we share a mic.
Yes.
Oh, good evening.
And who says I'm patiently waiting?
There we go. Hi.
Hi. I was just enjoying the soft black chairs and the red curtains, but the parquet floor was just messing up my eyes.
Remember butter, parquet. Remember that? Remember those commercials?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kid.
Yeah. Just a few molecules different from plastic. I'm glad that the science on that has come out. But of course, the Food and Drug Administration said it was perfectly safe and effective for lowering your cholesterol. Yeah.
The things we used to eat in the 80s. Anyway.
This is Mr. Pichelli's rant on butter. This will be the beginning of our 14-week deep dive into the properties of butter.
Well, no, actually of processed fake butter. I can believe it's not butter, and I can believe it's clogging your arteries.
Did you know that William Shatner used to do margarine commercials back in the 70s? Extolling the virtues of margarine?
Yeah, wasn't it like Promise or something like that?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. I know my grandmother used to get margarine all the time, and I never liked it. Have you ever melted margarine and put it over popcorn?
No.
Haven't? Don't ever do it. You will simply be ruining your popcorn. So you have a big bowl of popcorn, right? Freshly popped, right?
Yes.
Not fluffy. You pour melted margarine over it, and it turns the popcorn into soup. It's like putting styrofoam into acetone.
Oh.
Yep. Yep.
I think I spread it on toast once. I had it a couple times as a kid, but then I think I came to the conclusion, well, how is this better than butter? Butter's still better than this.
It is.
So,
it absolutely is. Sorry, bit of a rant, bit of a side thing, but I want to get more zen. I want to, David Lynch was all about transcendental meditation,
yes,
and enlightenment, and I think we should focus on that a little bit more.
Sergeant Giartina is with us. Channel member, Geek Flag with Nate Knows. This is with all the celebrity deaths last week. Flappy just wants everyone to know he's still very much alive. Coming out with his only feathers that will cost only $5 a month.
I don't know about that. We had on good authority pass, but this could be someone scamming. I'm just saying.
Boomer, I remember those commercials, and I remember bugging my mother to buy it. When she actually bought it, it literally tastes like hair grease.
Yes. Yes.
And hello to Enigma Severus. Good to see you, sir. All right. So
I'm seeing one other name that might not be showing for you, and I want to say hi to him myself. Let me say hi after a very long absence to Thunderheart.
Cool.
Right on. Good to see you, sir. It has been a while. All right. Okay, so this is our deep dive into Inland Empire. I am still wrestling with some of this. This is a movie where I thought I knew where it was going for the first half. And then it takes this very sharp left turn into Wacky Land. And I'm still not sure that I understand everything involved. Nate clarified one storyline for me, and thank you for the $2, Nate. Let me boot that up.
Oops, sorry, I was just going to bring it up.
Okay. My people. Hello, my people. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Now, Nate did bring up a point that I'll go a little bit more into a little bit later on here after Boomer and Troy have made their presentations. That did clear one plot line up for me, but it doesn't quite explain everything. And this is why I want everyone else to go on first, because you may be able to clarify some things for me that I may be missing.
If that's the case, then it seems more likely that maybe you should go first. Because then if you're bringing up some questions, I can address them in the back nine, because I think I will be able to answer just about all of your questions. I am that confident.
Okay. I am still not positive which scenes involving Laura Dern is the movie being made and which ones are real world, because it's intentional that reality and the film are being blurred. We get it. We know that the leads of the Polish version of the film, I guess we would say, met a bad end. Now, Nate brought up brought up something that I thought was interesting, because there did seem to be this motif, especially in the second half of the film. And hello to Papa Goss. Nate brought up that there might have been some kind of human trafficking thing going on with the character that we are referring to as Lost Girl, who at the end of the film is reunited with her husband and with her son, even though we're led to believe through most of the film that her son is deceased. Apparently he's not, which tends to make me think she might be a different character as well. This is a film where, like Mulholland Drive, you're dealing with multiple versions of, well, you have the same actor playing different characters. In Mulholland Drive, you have Naomi Watts playing two different characters. You know, the real world version and the idealized version of herself. And that's if you believe that my theory of Mulholland Drive is correct, that what is going on in the first two acts of the film are in her head as she's dying. Where she has this idealized version of life going on. I think there's something maybe similar going on here. Nate does say in the chat, I believe none of Laura Dern's scenes are reality. Only the prostitute in the room is the reality, and all of the different images we see. Started watching television, changing channels. She was seeing as a form of mental escape from her situation. That I think Nate is on the right track. Because we do begin the film with the Lost Girl watching everything on television. And then what we see on the television becomes, quote unquote, the reality of the film. And I think Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire are similar in that vein. Whereas you had this character in Mulholland Drive who is so, by the end of the film, mentally disturbed. She is regretting what she has done. Whereas the character here of, I keep calling her the Lost Girl. I don't know what they call her in the film, but
that is how she's referred in the credits.
Okay, now the Lost Girl, I think she is trying to get away from her reality. And we see, and I think Nate is right. I think it is her kind of switching channels. You know, she's going back and forth between this sitcom that's not really a sitcom with the rabbits. That seems so that it kind of comes off funny because there's this laugh track, but it's very ominous at the same time. And I think she's the link between the two. She's definitely the link between, for the lack of a better term, timelines. Which is the Polish language thing. And because we are told about this kind of movie within a movie, that there was a Polish language version. And then we have the Laura Dern, Justin Theroux stuff. So the Lost Girl being Polish, she would be aware of this story. And I think that part is her memory of that film, the Polish version of the film. And then maybe she's watching the Laura Dern part on television. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Like I said, I don't pretend to understand this movie, but this is now replaced Lost Highway is the one I'm not sure I get, and I'm still not sure I get Lost Highway, honestly, but I'm getting there. But yeah, I think Nate is definitely in the right direction. I tend to agree with him. Says, I believe that's the beautiful part of what David Lynch does. He makes a movie, and whatever any of our theories are, we could all be right, we could all be wrong. Yeah, but the thing with me is what I refer to as an author's intent. And this is why I don't like, which is why I'm not really happy with the recent spate of remakes, because you're sort of, you're insinuating yourself into someone else's work. You are claiming to understand something that you might not actually have a clue about. This is why, if I were a writer or a director, I would stay away from adaptations, because, and just stick to my own original work, because I don't know what is going on in David Lynch's head when he wrote this thing. And I feel that I would have to know that up to a certain point. But at the same time, you know, it's like Nate says, all our theories could be right, it could be wrong. David Lynch always left it up to interpretation. But that kind of holds, to me, it kind of holds things at arm's length a little bit, because I want to know what was in his head. I want to be thinking what he was thinking. But I'm never really going to know that. Why? Because it is impossible to be inside of someone else's head. This is, and I don't know if I ever would have gotten a straight answer, but this is something where I wish that I had had a chance to sit down with this man for a couple of hours and just discuss his films. You know, because, you know, it's going to be, it's like that one thing I'm never going to know is that author's intent.
But we have interviews with David Lynch all around the place, right?
In this case, there's actually quite a few. I have the special edition 2-disc DVD of Inland Empire, and there is the first feature on the second disc is called More Things That Happened, and it's a bunch of deleted scenes from deleted scenes from Inland Empire. I'm going to talk about those a little bit when I get to my notes, but there's a lot.
Okay. I got a thing.
You got a thing.
I got a thing. This is the way that it was going on in my head.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if anybody else saw it the same way, but it also might make you guys go, oh yeah, I didn't think of it like that. The way it was in my head is I saw it as the original Polish movie was cursed and the actors were trapped in the movie. So when Laura Dern and crew were doing the same movie, they had to complete the movie in order to free the other actors who were trapped.
I find this so interesting because I listen to
Nate.
Nate.
Supernatural things.
I listen to Nate. I listen to to Deleted. I hear what Netter is saying, and I'm like, you all have parts of this. Everything you guys are saying is right, but there's a lot more to it.
Okay. Nate is saying the rabbits is a
No. I just said you were right.
Hold on. Nate is saying the rabbits is a sitcom, but because of her situation, she doesn't get the joke. It's not funny to her, but we still hear the audience laugh. Rod Thunderheart is still on the whole margarine thing. No, it was to protect the dairy industry. It wasn't margarine exactly. It was
I asked. We had a
95. Okay.
We had a side conversation going on.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He goes on here about. Oh, I get it. Okay. Hello to Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips.
And hail to TJ from Orville Nation.
Oh, hello, Orville Nation. Good to see you, sir. All right.
And Surgeon Giratina.
Yep.
Maybe David Lynch was on a bad trip. I don't want to be in his head to discuss this movie with him too much drama. Well, I do. So
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think Nate is on the right track. I think Netter is on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that makes sense.
And one other thing I wanted to add for you, Deleted, based on what you were just saying. I do think you can get into David Lynch's head because, as Boomer pointed out, lots of interviews, and I'm going to quote a bunch of them. There's a lot of stuff on that second disc, in the special edition. And in a way, it's kind of what we're doing here. We are kind of getting into David Lynch's head and looking at all of his work and the things that he's said and teasing out what we know about him personally to kind of understand where he was coming from, his perspective, his point of view, so to speak. So that's what this journey's all about.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So so try Boomer. Who wants to go? Who wants to go?
Boomer's got slides. So
yeah. All right. So
you want me to do that? You want me to go next? Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right. I don't have too much to say on this movie as I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm here to talk about the movie Hotel, and actually, I shouldn't have.
Was this a movie? I thought it was. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing it with a series. My apologies.
Okay. Dogma movies is not to be confused with Dogma 95. Okay, there's the Kevin Smith Dog movie. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Dogma 95, which was a movement made by Lars von Trier, where it was supposed to be taking the creative elements back from the Hollywood studios and get back to the performers and the directors. And you would have a handheld camera. You would shoot on location. You'd shoot on with digital cameras. I'm not saying that's what David Lynch did here. I'm not saying that's necessarily what Hotel is, the movie I'm about to discuss, but it is about the making of a Dogma movie within the movie. Let's get into Hotel. This is director Mike Figgis, and the only reason I bring up this movie is because it reminded me of Inland Empire. For some reason echoed this. I don't have the ability to scroll forward, so if someone could scroll forward, I'll just say next slide. Oh, go back.
Sorry.
Go back.
All right.
Okay, I'll let you do it. It's your show. Deleted.
Okay. This is from New York Post, page 6. When this movie was being filmed. Go to the next slide.
Okay.
All right. Tongues are wagging about Salma Hayek's on-camera catfight with Lucy Liu in Mike Figgis' new movie Hotel. The hot-blooded actresses are said to have gotten carried away during an improvised fight scene. Next slide.
Now I have to see this movie.
Salma lunges at Lucy, grabs hold of her, and shakes her, says our source. Then they started shoving each other. Salma was in kind of a bad mood that day and was very fatigued. When they were filming it, some people on the set were afraid it was turning into a real fight. It looked very real. Next slide. Aside from the Hayek squaring off with Lou, the quirky hotel features John Malkovich, as a guest forced to eat the flesh of dismembered hotel guests in a jail cell. If fans if fans as a comatose guest who has sex with Valentina Survey and and Friends star Swimmer as a David Swimmer as a sleazy cameraman. Next slide. Okay, this is the movie Hotel. This movie is nuts. People hate this movie.
I've never heard of this before.
It was shot on digital video, much like Inland Empire. That's the only reason I bring it up. And Inland Empire is also about somebody making a movie. And this is about a crew in Venice, of all places. They decided to go shoot an adaptation of The Duchess of Malfi, which was a play written by a contemporary Shakespeare, Mark Webb. It's John Webster, I think his name was, right? If my name is not mistaken. And it's so they're... Go forward, next slide. Okay, so now we're just going to go do the different slides here. But this is from Roger Ebert. Many critics have agreed that Hotel is not successful, but I would ask, not successful at what? Before you conclude that a movie doesn't work, you have to determine what it intends to do. This is not a horror movie, a behind-the-scenes movie, a sexual intrigue, or a travelogue, but all four at once, elbowing one another for screen time. It reminds me of a competitive series of jazz improvisations in which the musicians quote from many sources that the joy comes in the way they're able to keep that many styles alive in the same song. That's from Roger Ebert's review. He gave it 3 stars. That's Mike Figgis.
I was going to say that's not Roger Ebert.
No, he directed the movie Time Code, which the lead since may have had. Time Code was famous on the fact that it was all being shot on video in real time with 4 cameras present on the screen at all times. You saw all 4 POVs and you would see stuff happening at all times. So it'd be like in a movie when a scene is going on and then it cuts to somebody else in the movie.
Was that the one with was Sigourney Weaver in that movie?
I don't remember.
Dennis Quaid? Was it Dennis Quaid?
No, I don't think so. Because this was all shot on TV. I know that the Elder Skarsgård was in this, so was Salma Hayek and some other actors. Saffron Bellows was in it, because Saffron Bellows seems to be in a lot of his movies. But going forward, this is an odd movie because there's Salma Hayek in this movie.
Jeannie Tripplehorn. Okay, yes, I did see this movie. I saw that one in the theater.
Yeah, she plays Charlie Boo, a Mexican MTV reporter for like MTV Mexico. She's there to film them shooting this production of The Duchess of Malfi all on camera at the crew are staying at a hotel where the owners of the hotel may be vampires, cannibals, or both, and they're cutting up certain guests and feeding them to other guests.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a bunch of things going on at the same time in this movie. None of it makes any sense. Go forward a slide, though. She is Salma Hayek in this movie is painfully obnoxious. There's David Schwimmer from Friends. Go forward again. That's the director. This is a scene from the movie where let's just say this director is a bit of a diva. He's always yelling at the crew about getting the proper performances out of them. And at some point, someone from the hotel shoots him and then covers up the gun. He falls to the ground, and they think he's just having a moment. Okay, we'll all take a coffee break. And it's like an hour, 2 hours later before they realize, oh, he's been shot. He's bleeding out. Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, it's 2 weeks later, and they don't know what to do, and Burt Reynolds shows up. And half the time, I don't know if these actors showing up are playing themselves on screen or if they're playing characters. For instance, John Malkovich, I believe in this movie, is playing himself, even though he's registered at the hotel under another name. But maybe that's just to keep the paparazzi and other people off of him when he's just trying to go on vacation. Those are the costumes for Duchess Malfi. That is Mark Strong to the right there. And it's kind of funny because the guy to the left plays his brother. There's a deleted scene in this where he goes over to the hotel to meet his castmate and he says, "Oh, you're playing my brother in this play," and he doesn't want to say it out loud. Yeah, because back then they could have a sense of humor about such things. But going forward, it's like a movie within a movie within a movie. Everything's fighting with each other. Go forward one. All right, go forward another one. I do like that shot though. That's one of the actors. That's the guy who rewrote the John Webster play. But it's all being shot on location at Venice. So kind of like with this movie we saw Inland Empire, where there's a lot of Poland stuff going on in the background.
Yeah.
Instead, this is Venice, Italy. So there's a very European flair to it. They're going over and they're shooting. It's all being shot on digital cameras. Go forward one. I'm just going to try to go through with this. And there's John Malkovich there. And And go ahead, go one more. And yeah, that's the that's the director when he's in comatose, and that's the vampire cannibal woman. I guess she seduces him while he's in a coma and can't do anything about it. And then he says later on in the movie that he had astral projection and saw a Donald Duck tattoo on Lucy Liu's butt because he could do astral projection while he was in a coma and go around room to room, which we didn't actually see in the movie, so I don't know if it actually happened. But that's my point. This movie's insane. None of it makes any sense. Anyone who has seen this movie typically hates it, but at the same time, I think, like someone said, this movie is being pretentious. Is it artistic? Is it both? It's both. It's mad genius. Go forward one, okay? And here we go. And this is Mike Figgis. I interviewed David. This is the director of this movie in Lodz, Poland, at the Cinematography Festival in 2008 after the premiere of Inland Empire. Figgis says, the clip went onto the DVD of the film. I shot it and edited it immediately and screened it for the festival, much to the chagrin of the guys from Kodak, who seemed to be pissed off at David's comments about film versus digital. I was entranced watching Lynch's hands as he spoke. Go forward one. And this is a quote from David Lynch. Digital video is so beautiful. It's lightweight, modern, and it only gets better. It's put film into the La Brea tar pits. Yikes.
Interesting.
I am complete. It's funny because I remember at the time watching Hotel, and and to be fair, I'll be blunt. This is sort of why I've sort of stayed away from Inland Empire all these years. I do not like old digital camera movies. I think they look horrible. I don't like their look. Now, to be fair, the fact they can now clean them up and put them on Blu-ray, they probably look better than they did when they originally came out. And now we have HD cameras, so HD cameras look great. But I think I've neglected what David Lynch brings up here, and probably what Mike Figgis also did with Hotel, and the fact that you can just have actors just go on and on and on and get the performance just right. You don't have to worry about saving on film. Do you understand? You don't have to.
Yeah, your dailies are literally right there in the camera.
Yes.
You don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the impression I got from this, because I have no idea how much footage was shot for Inland Empire. I would imagine it was probably what? Does anybody know here in the stream?
Given how many deleted scenes there are, I would imagine quite a bit.
Probably 30 hours, maybe 100 hours. I don't know. That's the thing with digital.
Yeah, no
and that's why David Lynch thought that this was a free format. And go forward 1, 2, if you could. And I think I ended with that. That's Julian Sands as one of the vampire hotel people.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Julian Sands is great in this, and Mark Strong is this. And I always used to confuse Julian Sands with, I think, Jason Isaacs. You know that actor? I think he played Malfoy's dad in the Harry Potter movies, and I thought he was Julian Sands,
who was also in Timecode.
Yes, and what's interesting is him and Julian Sands are both in this movie. It's funny. Jason Isaacs, he plays the actor on the first day of shooting. He has to go up to the director, says, "Look, you know, I told you if I ever got a paying gig, like a real paying gig, I would have to leave. I mean, we understand it." And I got the Ridley Scott picture. And the director, he just says, "I don't have time to talk to you. Can we shoot all my scenes today?" It's like everything that could go wrong with this production goes wrong. And then off camera, he calls them the Blunt C while he's not around for abandoning the production. And just,
do you know who else was in Timecode?
Who?
Kyle MacLachlan.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So I'm trying to figure out Mike Figgis and David Lynch. I don't want to say they must know each other. Okay, they must know each other. I mean, professionally, because
it's very clear they shoot a lot of the same ground. It's very clear that Figgis had some admiration for David Lynch.
Yeah, in fact, he said that what Blue Velvet was hugely influential on him as an early filmmaker. It's his favorite Lynch film.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he what was interesting about this is Hotel came out in 2001 around the same time as Mulholland Drive, and Mulholland Drive is getting acclaim. Hotel is getting trashed. People hated this movie. But the problem is, I almost think Hotel dares you to hate it. That's the thing. It's a mess. But it's a movie that over the years I've still come back to, despite initially hating it. Now I think it might actually be it might actually be brilliant, and we
I
were
may have
all
to check it out.
misunderstanding what Figgis did. Of course, you may watch it and think it's total trash. I don't know. But the point is, though, I wonder, I don't know if David Lynch watched Time Code, or maybe he was watching what a lot of people were doing with other digital films and thought, this is my next avenue to explore with Inland Empire. And if you think about Inland Empire, there are a lot of different threads in it too. There's the bunny show, there's the movie that they're making, whereas the reality and what is reality and all this. And it's, I'm not saying that any hotel is like Inland Empire, but I think there's experimentation going on in both movies. That's all I wanted to bring up. So
Sure,
you can.
sure.
All right, I'm done. But I told you I'd keep it brief. But I just said for some reason when I was watching Inland Empire, I was reminded of Hotel, and now I want to watch other Dogma 95 movies to see if there is a thread going on with them, much like with Inland Empire. Maybe the genre that I kind of thumbed my nose at when it was first out. Maybe I need to give it a second look. That's all.
That's interesting. That is a tributary to this river that I was completely unaware of. So you may have given us another area of investigation as we dig into.
Then again, David Lynch may think, "Oh, I wasn't making a Dogma 95 movie. I was just wanting to use digital cameras." I have no idea because he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
he talks and he twists. I watched that 20-minute interview and I'm like, "Am I getting any insight into this?" He's saying some brilliant stuff at the same time. I'm like, I can't get a straightforward answer out of the guy. It's driving me nuts.
Right.
Okay, but that's all. Okay. Writer Albert Lanier says Mike Figgis is a good filmmaker. He's not a soulless commercial director. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
This again is also why a lot of critics don't like him, and this is where David Lynch got a lot of his criticism. Look, anybody who operates outside of the established entertainment industry tends to run afoul of the I would argue bought and paid for critics.
I think so, because I thought Ebert was just being honest in his review. I think he was on the fence like I was. He's like, is it bad, but is it supposed to be bad? He's like, what is it? He's basically saying he gave it 3 stars because it's like, maybe that's the point. It's none of these threads are supposed to work in this movie because they're all arguing with each other about what this movie is supposed to be. Because at one point it's an Elizabethan theater play, and then another point it's a horrible, like almost like Spinal Tap thing about a disaster's making a movie, and then it turns into like a travelogue, and then it turns into Selma Hayek getting into a nasty cat fight with Lucy Liu, which I do believe was acting. I think they just did that good a job that people thought it was real. Because just when you see how it's shot, I realize, no, they're still acting in this scene. They probably get along okay. But, yeah. That's all.
There you go.
I do want to say hello to Trailer Mansion, who's joined us.
Hello.
Nate says, I saw Time Code on cable. It's a movie with 4 screens. Nothing really happening outside of Selma Hayek making out with another chick. I'm fine with that.
Was it Lucy Liu? I don't know. I'm kidding. I don't know. It was probably somebody else.
That would be funny if they make out in one movie, but they were in a fight in another movie.
That'd be funny. Mike Figgis interviewed David Lynch twice, and they have a connection through music. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go then. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order because of some of the things that you just brought up. Of course, I've got 15 pages of notes, so I got to find the part that I'm looking for. You know what? I can do the search function. Here we go. So I want to start out with, so you went to this movie Hotel,
Yes.
and drew some correlations. I'm going to go to Sunset Boulevard, which the members just watched last week, Monday. Members on my channel, we watched Sunset Boulevard because that was the movie you guys voted for. But I thought it was amazing that you guys did vote for that film because it has such a close connection here. So this is a quote from an interview by David Lynch. He said, "If I have to choose films that represent for me examples of perfect filmmaking, I think I could narrow it down to 4. and he basically says the first one being 8.5. And he goes into his reasons for why. For similar reasons, I would also show Sunset Boulevard. Even though Billy Wilder's style is very different from Fellini's, he manages to accomplish pretty much the same abstract atmosphere, less by magic than through all sorts of stylistic and technical tricks. The Hollywood he describes in the film probably never existed, but he makes us believe it did, and he immerses us in it like a dream. Sunset Boulevard's influence on Inland Empire is undeniable. First of all, Nikki gets trapped in the story of the film and ends up becoming a mirror of the character she plays. In Sunset Boulevard, the protagonist writes a script from a film where she will star, for a film where she will star and ends up the same way as Nikki, stuck in her role. Then we get a scene which is a direct imitation of Sunset Boulevard, of a Sunset Boulevard scene. It even has the same line. In Sunset Boulevard, the shot is shown in a movie being projected on a screen. The movie is called Queen Kelly, and it starred the same actress who played the protagonist of Sunset Boulevard and is in fact being watched by the protagonist. In Sunset Boulevard, she is the actress called Norma Desmond, who, similarly to Nikki, lost her notoriety and is trying to get it back. Queen Kelly is shown as one of this fictional actress's past movies. In Inland Empire, the shot is supposed to be from a scene from Vier Sieben, denoted by the crackling sound effects we hear in the background that was added by Lynch to differentiate these scenes. It is interesting because Queen Kelly is a real film and it was also never finished. This happened because the lead actress left after they tried to trick her into believing her character is arriving in a dance hall, which in reality was a brothel. This is why the prostitutes talk about tonight, in quotes. Tonight will change that. Yeah, tonight will be good. As if they are planning on going to a dance, which they were when they were in fact referring to prostituting themselves. They proceed to talk about their plans to attract guys, and that they even start dancing as if rehearsing for the night's, in quotes, dance. Later on, they're seen dancing again. Eric von Stroheim, the director of Queen Kelly, appears in Sunset Boulevard as Max von Mayerling, who is Norma's butler and the director of all her earlier films, including Queen Kelly. He's almost playing as himself because he's acting as a slightly changed version of his real self. This is where Inland Empire took its inspiration to show us actors' lives and their characters' lives merging into one. Both in the film and in real life, this man has a surname of Germanic origin. He is also Austrian and therefore spoke German. Maybe that's why Vier Sieben has a German name, even though the film is a Polish language, is in the Polish language, filmed in Polish locations with Polish actors. Or maybe, it could just be there's another historic reason. Poland, Germany, Austria. Just saying.
Oh.
Anyway. A final reference to Sunset Boulevard is when street person number 2 tells street person number 1 that she has a friend who looks like a movie star and stays home with her monkey. We see her and her monkey during the closing credits. Norma has a pet chimpanzee who dies, and she prepares a funeral for it. This friend named Nico is a reference to how many women ended up in the same situation as Nikki, and she's not the first one to experience all of this. Nico has a blonde wig and looks like a movie star. She prostitutes herself for a living, and has a hole in the bottom of her body. Okay, yeah, perforation, so forth. So they're Sunset Boulevard. So yes, I do believe that David Lynch is clearly drawing on other films, and this concept I don't think is original to him. I don't think it was necessarily even original to Sunset Boulevard. I think that films can homage each other. They can also draw from the same inspiration. So I want to go back to some things that I said last week. David Lynch introduced the premiere of Inland Empire. He went to many different film festivals introducing it. And he actually debuted it, after he'd done it at Venice and, other places. He came to Chicago, the Music Box. And this was January 27th of 2007, midnight screening. And he introduced the film by quoting from the Upanishads. We are like the spider. We weave our life and then move along in it. We are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives in the dream. This is true of the entire universe. Now, the Upanishads are the Sanskrit texts that document the transition from the archaic ritualism of the Veda into new religious ideas and institutions, and the emergence of the central religious concept of Hinduism. Obviously, this was a part of David Lynch's spiritualism. He believed in Hinduism, Buddhism, reincarnation, transcendental meditation. We'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. Chris Rodley wrote a book called Lynch on Lynch that was published in 2005. And from that, there was, from that series of talks and interviews that he has, Rodley says the movie, referring to Mulholland Drive, is full of obvious clues, but there are many other things that are important, visual and audio indicators, that are not obvious. So at times it does seem as if you're delighting in teasing or mystifying the viewer, to which David Lynch said, no, you never do that to an audience. An idea comes and you make it the way the idea says it wants to be, and you just stay true to that. Clues are beautiful because I believe we're all detectives. We mull things over and we figure things out. We are always working this way. People's minds hold things and form conclusions with indications. It's like music. Music starts, a theme comes in, it goes away. And when it comes back, it's so much greater because of what's gone before. So, Inland Empire. The story starts with actress Nikki Grace being visited by an old woman. I don't like calling her that, but I mean, it's a descriptor. Grace Zabriskie, who is credited as visitor number one, who was informed that Nikki was about to play the lead in a film. We later learn the role she's got is for the remake of an old film about a Polish folk tale that was said to be cursed. The film wasn't finished because the two leads had been murdered. The original story was about a couple of married lovers who had an affair, were caught by their spouses, and then murdered by each other's spouse. Before the female lover is killed, she prostitutes herself to survive after being thrown out of her husband's house. Now, while reincarnation isn't mentioned explicitly, the concept is implied, with many characters being shown to have lived previous lives. Lynch publicly discussed his belief in reincarnation, and the whole film is sort of a confession of Lynch's spiritual beliefs. Before some screenings of the film, he liked to present the quote that I just shared from the Upanishads. Even though the Polish folktale is an invention by humans, they end up living in it and not knowing how to get out of it. As we discussed last week, he also used the quote in Twin Peaks: The Return. the dream he recounts, where he's talking with what's her name, the Italian girl. Help me out here. What's her name?
Give me a moment.
Yeah. Anyway,
Monica Bellucci.
Yeah, Monica Bellucci. Right. Exactly. She quotes from the Upanishads, that specific part that I said. The people living in the film make up their own stories and then live inside them. Thus, the story becomes their lives. That's why the curse of the story consists in the actors ending up trapped inside their characters' lives, thus dreaming and moving along in their dreams. Stories are metaphors for lives. Retold stories are lives lived more than once. The variations between each story represents the differences between one life and the next. Some things remain intact and others change. For example, originally the male lover's wife was the infertile one, but in the remake, it's the female lover's husband. This concept is of different variations of the same story is introduced by visitor number 1 when she references the original film in quotes and the variations. She also introduces the marketplace and the palace. The marketplace and the palace are two concepts used by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. The marketplace discusses, and this is a guru that David Lynch was very fond of and directly studied. It was a cornerstone of his belief system. The marketplace discusses the limits of domestic and public transactions, a level of reality at which illusions of stability are promoted by our culture. In the details of our lives, we get lost on the way to the palace. So it's all in the minutia and distractions that prevent us from attaining enlightenment or spirituality or what have you, the great radiant unity beyond the marketplace. The alley behind the marketplace is the way to the palace. This means that we have to transcend the marketplace to reach enlightenment. The palace is also our connection to the unified field, which is where everything comes from and is also what connects all things to everything else. The unified field is both Nikki's origin and final destination, symbolized by the mansion where she's first and last seen. Those scenes kind of bookend the film. In the end, some of the characters make it to the palace, which is the connection to the unified field. Hence, the elements referencing many other works by Lynch, like The Woodsman sawing logs, reminiscent of Twin Peaks and Industrial Symphony No. 1, Camilla from Mulholland Drive, a train yard worker referencing Wild at Heart, as well as people from different worlds, even within the same film, such as Nikki and this woman called The Lady, both from their own reality, as well as the Marine sister, the prostitutes, Nico and her pet monkey, and all of them from On High in Blue Tomorrows. The quote from the girl, the second homeless girl. He was a Marine from North Carolina. He had a sister with one leg. My friend Nico, who lives in Panoma, had a blonde wig. She has a pet monkey. According to Maharishi, true worship of God cannot start, can only start once a person has reached enlightenment. Disregarding being from the field of devotion is baseless devotion. It's like building castles in the air. It's not possible to establish the field of devotion irrespective of pure awareness. This is why after getting to the palace, those people start praising the Lord with a Christian song. And this is a quote from David Lynch that's in the behind the scenes on the special edition. And then when you sing those things feel those things, you know? You're singing to the Lord, you know, just at the very end there. You know what I mean? Really feel them. They are singing about the end of the world because when the credits are finished, this fictional world is at its end. In the middle of this, Nikki blows Rita a kiss, which she blows back to her in a scene which raised questions at the Venice Film Festival. And this person asked, translating from Italian, I wanted to know something that I wish you'd answer in a precise manner. This is a literal translation. It may not really cover the flavor of what he's saying in Italian, but you get the idea. At the end of the film, she sends kisses. Are the kisses for us, the audience, or for whom understood and for who didn't understand? I would like the answer precisely whether this indeed was for us or for the symbols or the symbols a different one. And David says, those kisses are for you specifically.
Oh, that's funny.
The person who asked it. The kiss is a metaphor for one of Maharishi's teachings that states that all love is directed towards oneself. Now, this is a quote from the Maharishi. One's love is directed to oneself. No one loves anyone else. Every current of love is directed towards the self. Whatever direction the stream of love flows, it only flows in the direction of the self. If the self is not satisfied, the current doesn't flow. Every wave of love is eternally always directed to the self. That could be a whole discussion, completely separately. I don't want to go too far down that road. I'm just sharing. That's what the Maharishi taught. That's the perspective David Lynch was coming from. I believe there's truth in it, but you might disagree. That's a different conversation. So now, traveling from one dimension to another is something that many of the characters do in the film, including Nikki, Sue, Billy, the Lost Girl, and the Lady. However, doing it for the first time is accompanied by a sense of confusion and not recognizing familiar places. The Lost Girl in Polish at the opening says, I don't recognize this hallway. Where are we? This is the room. I don't recognize it. Nikki says, I go across the lawn. I don't recognize the street. I'm not shitting you. I'm not in my house. I'm in some other place. The Lady, played by Nastasia Kinski. We went through the hallway and I don't know where I was. Dealing with the supernatural also comes with a sense of time confusion. Visitor 1 says, me? I can't seem to remember if it's today, 2 days from now, or yesterday. Nikki says, I think the thing is, I don't know what was before or after. I don't know what happened first, and it's kind of laying a mindfuck on me. Billy went to Nikki's dimension to attend a party where she conquered the lady and told her he was just passing by. He took her through dimensions to have sex in the hotel. However, she did not get lost and managed to get back to her world first and then to the palace. Each dimension has its own rules when it comes to time and space. In the world of On High in Blue Tomorrows, bilocation is possible. If you remember the scene, it was on the TV, woman talking to a guy. I thought you went to the circus. I did. Well, why are you here then? You're here, right? Yes, near here. So where are you then? He rolls his eyes. I'm right over there. And so is suddenly disappearing, which makes sense since this is a film world and stuff is possible like that in films. Time also works differently, not only because it's possible to go back in time using a watch and a burning piece of silk, but also because there's a two-way difference between the calendar on Nikki's and of the calendars of Nikki's and Sue's world. The worlds are parallel and independent to each other. Sue and Nikki have different lives of their own. Sue has memories of back when she was a child decades ago. She said, I gouged a man's eye out when I was 15 once. And so does Nikki. The only thing that Nikki did when accepting the role of Sue was creating a bridge between those two worlds, where footage from one world would be watchable in the other. Nikki and Sue are still different people, and as such, they can each go to each other's world through the portal. However, for some reason, when a person from one dimension visits another, even though that person can see everyone, the people from the visited dimension cannot see the foreign guest. And if you remember the table scene, do you recognize her? I don't see any woman. Do you know where I am? I hear her. And you don't see her? No. Sue visits Nikki's world at least twice. First, when she goes to the set of the film, and the second, when she goes to Nikki's mansion and sees her lying on the floor talking to Devin on the phone. Historically, forests were portrayed as the source of witchcraft and evil spirits because rural communities were the farthest and last to make contact with Christianity and civilization. Because of this, many of the residents still remained practicing these pre-Christian beliefs. As a reflection of this, the term pagan, which originally meant from the countryside, ended up being used to refer to beliefs different from or contrary to Christianity. This is why all the witches and ghosts of the old tales are always in the woods. The Phantom, the character in this film, is no exception. He's a supernatural being who emerged from the woods, and so is the Polish visitor. Remember when Grace, shows up at the beginning, they asked her, which house are you living in? Just down the way, tucked back in the small woods. And she says that very pointedly. As we later learn, watches are used for seeing events from one's past lives. The Phantom was aware of this, which is why after killing Piotrek, he steals his watch, and in the present, he sells watches. Nikki said, that guy, he's been coming around. It's like it was, selling watches again. See, there's a lot of these lines that don't make a lot of sense until you start putting them into this kind of context. In modern times, he finds that the lost girl's in modern times, he finds the lost girl's reincarnation. He sells her a watch in exchange for holding her hand once again. The lost girl uses the watch to see and learn about her past life. The Phantom had hypnotized Doris to kill her. Looking for revenge, she goes back in time and changes the story by killing Doris instead. However, she gets lost in the process and ends up in a type of purgatory. We know that her plan failed because otherwise we wouldn't hear many years later a story about the two leads being murdered, since Doris wasn't a lead. This is how the lost girl's unpaid bill starts as a karmic debt, which only she can pay. Again, that's kind of going off into the, karma and that whole belief system. However, she's unable to do it because she is stuck in that place until her debt is paid. Nikki was born to fulfill that mission as a double for the soul of the lost girl. Because of this, Visitor 1 refers to Nikki as half born when referencing her in her tale. This is also why when Nikki uses the watch that helps her to see her own past life, she sees the lost girl's life. It's also the reason for the kiss to cause them to merge into one, denoting that they were one and the same all along, and that the real protagonist had always been the lost girl. This also explains why, after explaining to Nikki how to get to the palace, she ends by saying, but it isn't something you remember. it is Nikki who receives the clues from the Lost Girl on how to use the watch. That's why even when Sue died, Nikki knows that what she has to do. Sue also found out about the watch just a little bit later on. We even see her using it. This is the only way she can tell Mr. K about trying to figure out her past life. She said, I figured out one day I just wake up, or I figured one day I'd just wake up and find out what the hell yesterday was all about. I'm not too keen on thinking about tomorrow. Specifically yesterday, past life, tomorrow, future. The watch is seen going backwards as a sign that she's going back in time, reminding us what the Phantom said in a deleted scene about the primary function of the watch being to tell the time. They tell time. What more do you want from a watch? Which, as obvious as it may sound, is true. So Sue tells Mr. K, I was 40 years old in 1960. I'm freaked out about it because I lost a bunch of years, referring to the Lost Girl's original birth date and age. If the Lost Girl was 41 in 1960, then she was born in 1919. So it would make sense for a niece of someone involved in the Polish story to have been born around, say, 1915, thus turning 90 in 2005. And I've seen some people believe that the niece in question is visitor number one, Grace Zabrisky's character, due to Kingsley's description of her voice as ancient and foreign, as well as her curiosity for the film's cast. The only thing that holds me back from that is I don't like to think of Grace Zabriskie as playing a 90-year-old woman, but that's a personal thing. After killing Doris, the Lost Girl walks down the streets of Poland where she meets the Phantom. They both come back from murdering their rivals in this affair. Originally, the Phantom killed his wife's lover. Then he found his wife on the street, and then his wife was murdered by her lover's wife. We know that this is how the sequence of events goes because in the parallel story, On High in Blue Tomorrows, Billy is seen killing before Sue is in a deleted scene. However, if the Lost Girl wanted to kill Doris, she had to do it before the time Doris killed her, which was after midnight in the original story. That is why in the remake, the time of Sue's death is also after midnight. It's also why the Polish man tells Smithy to hurry up. Hurry up because Sue's murder is happening soon, and after she is scheduled to find the gun and kill the Phantom. If Smithy doesn't leave the pistol in the drawer on time, Sue will get there before him and will not be able to kill the Phantom after finding the gun. Once she kills Doris, the modern Lost Girl finds the Phantom on the street. The conversation that they are about to have is a conversation that Lost Girl remembers because they already had it in her previous life. But this time, history is being rewritten. That's why for this second time, Lynch wanted them not to speak in a husband and wife dynamic, but rather, as Lynch said in the behind the scenes, almost like you've seen it before. This explains why she sounds a lot more defiant and insolent while talking to the Phantom, rather than being a submissive and non-resistant wife she was in old Poland. Because this is the new modern Lost Girl, not the old one, the Lost Girl can speak Polish all of a sudden, and when she had insisted that she didn't speak it. That's because the film treats Polish as a sort of magic language. More precisely, it's presented as the language that humans use as a connection to the supernatural. In the film, understanding Polish means understanding how the supernatural realm works. Before understanding it, both Nikki and the Lost Girl's modern reincarnation have events where they seem to catch only a bit of what they're being told in Polish without being able to speak it fluently. After they understand how the supernatural works, they are able to understand Polish. In the case of the Lost Girl, she directly speaks it fluently. And in the case of Nikki, although she never gets a chance to do it, she sees all of those events happening in Polish and understands everything that's happening. She also understands and replies in English to the Phantom, to what the Phantom says when intercepting her phone call. So the Phantom in Polish says, "You don't remember. Do you understand?" And she responds in English, "No, because I didn't kill anybody. I didn't kill. But are you sure? Tell me everything. Because I've never been there. I don't know where that is. Listen, you hear that? No. Really? I'm not going to listen. Really, darling? I'm not going to listen." That's the conversation where she's lying on the floor. Okay. Mr. K's office. Mr. K is the therapist that serves as Lynch's critique on psychiatry, which he sees as interfering with human creativity. Now, this is a quote of David Lynch's in the book Room to Dream, A Life, specifically page 519, if you want a specific citation. "I went to a psychiatrist once. I thought, well, I should talk to a psychiatrist. When I got into the room, I asked him, do you think that this process could in any way damage my creativity? And he said, well, David, I have to be honest, it could. And I shook his hand and left." On the other hand, it's true. And this, I'm citing a specific quote because it was easy to find in print, but he has actually said this in video interviews a number of times. Slightly different wording, but basically the same basic idea. On the other hand, he presents transcendental meditation as healing and as a remedy for psychological wounds. Lynch was an advocate of transcendental meditation, even having a foundation with the mission of promoting it as healing, as a healing solution for many problems. Sue came to the psychiatrist's office in need of help. She was told he would be of great assistance, yet he only lets her go on and on talking alone without paying much attention to her and being of no help to her at all. However, at the palace, the place where the enlightened people go, we find transcendental meditation instructor Penny Hintz, real world transcendental instructor Penny Hintz, credited as the teacher. And no, this is not a coincidence. Lynch is telling us that the answer is in meditation and not psychiatry. So in the beginning, visitor one points at a place, and everything that follows is the woman explaining to Nikki what will happen in the future. She also says that she cannot tell the time. I suppose it was 9:45. I think it was after midnight. Warning beforehand that her story will be told out of order, and it certainly is. Nikki slowly learns that she is a reincarnation and starts remembering her past life. Pietrek already got knowledge of everything earlier on. That's why he insists on Nikki speaking Polish, or in other words, on Nikki being able to understand the supernatural realm and all of her past story because she's the lost girl's reincarnation. Little did Pietrek know that Nikki had no knowledge of anything. Pietrek plans on forcing his way onto the story to be reunited with his lover from a past life by using his influence and money to be cast in the film. However, the only available role that hasn't been filled yet is that of Smitty, which was one of the the producer which was the one the producers ended up giving him. Yes. Pietrek had hadn't been cast until after Nikki had gotten her role first, which we know because of what Kingsley says while Nikki is getting her makeup done. This explains Nikki's unawareness of her husband's involvement in the film. She didn't know many details about the film at the time. After all, she also denied the existence of a murder in the film, even though it's clearly part of the plot. The Phantom does not like what is happening. He wants the lost girl to keep suffering for cheating on him, and for the lovers not to reunite. However, because of Pietrek, he was left out of the new film. So he asks Janek to enter the story again to try to prevent this from happening. Pietrek is aware of what the curse of the story is, which is life imitating art. Therefore, he's not happy with Nikki getting the role because this means that now she will inevitably cheat on him. Smitty, the Phantom, and the rest of the team eventually go to Poland to work at a circus, and that's where Smitty is taken by Janek to the seance where he gets the gun to kill the Phantom. Then Janek takes Smitty to look for the Phantom, and he discovers that the Phantom already went back to the Inland Empire. When seeing Sue, Doris remembers who she was supposed to kill in her past life. She starts remembering her previous life. She follows Sue to try and kill her. Sue walks with a screwdriver for self-defense, but now Doris takes it from Sue and stabs her instead. After this, Doris stabs herself and turns herself into the police. But because of her dealing with the supernatural, she's too confused now by time. As she states, "I'm gonna kill someone," while complaining about the pain caused by the screwdriver she already used to murder Sue, which Sue had brought from her own house in the first place. Later on, Sue finds the gun and shoots the Phantom, revealing a reflection of herself, just like the one the old woman mentioned in her tale. The boy caused a reflection as he crossed the passage, and so did Sue, going through the Axon End door. After this, evil was born and followed her. We see an evil reflection of Sue following her, which she even sees and is shocked by. After killing the Phantom, she enters the rabbit's room, but they are invisible to her, and she sees that she is inside a film being projected in the same theater where she was just a few minutes ago. This realization transports her to the hotel where she, and you notice I'm mentioning hotel a lot, which makes me think back to what you were talking about.
Yes.
Where she kisses the lost girl. Now the lost girl is not lost anymore and knows the way home. She has reached pure consciousness, and Sue disappears. This represents samadhi, the state of mind that, according to Hinduism, a person experiences after liberating themselves from suffering, the mental world, afflictions, and obstructions to enlightenment. In this state, the observer, aka the lost girl, who has been watching everything on her TV screen, and the observed, aka Sue, whose story the lost girl has been following all along, merge into a single point, leaving only the observer. Finally, the story ends. We are back where it started, with the old woman telling Nikki where she will be in the future. But now Nikki sees her future as a bright one. She realizes that she will eventually reach enlightenment. The reason why only Nikki / Sue and Devin / Billy are the only ones credited with two different names is because all of the other characters are always the same people, the same souls, but reincarnated. For example, Pietrek's character is named Smitty in On High in Blue Tomorrows, but he's only credited as Pietrek. Julia Ormond is credited as playing only Doris' side, even though she also plays a Polish woman, and Doris' side is clearly not a Polish name, and that would have been used in the first half of the 20th century. And it's also not the modern Hollywood actress name, but rather the character's name, hence the same surname of the fictional husband. But they are all credited as only one name because we are seeing the same souls reincarnated over and over. It doesn't matter which individual names they had in each of their lives or what names the characters they played had. The only two characters whose soul are new to the film is Nikki and Devin. The Valley Girls explain Doris's real identity to Sue by repeatedly asking, "Who is she?" and showing Doris's face superimposed on the previous incarnation. Now, I just caught up to the part in my notes where I talked about Sunset Boulevard before, so I can skip over that. I already said.
Huh.
Now, regarding the prostitution and the infidelity. In the film, infidelity and prostitution are conflated. The Valley Girls are first seen near the red lamp, reminding us of the red light district. Lynch is known to have used lamps as a symbol for prostitution in previous movies. We talked about that with Mulholland Drive. It was also brought up a little bit in Blue Velvet. The Lost Girl sees Beatrix's face superimposed on a lamp from the hotel, while the red lamp reminds Sue of her lover Billy. These two characters see themselves as prostitutes for being unfaithful, reflected in one of the first lines in the film. In Polish, you know what whores do. Yeah, they fuck. And also in The Lost Girl, seeing Sue superimposed on the reflection of the lamp. Sue sees herself as a whore for sleeping with Billy, and this is why the Valley Girls are all talking about the same man. Then they take her to where the murder took place. All of this happens to the sound of Ghost of Love, also heard in a deleted scene where Sue's murder was about to happen. The song refers to the murder and is better known for the lines, "Strange, what love does so strange." Ghost of Love was composed and sung by David Lynch. I think I pointed that out during the viewing. In the case of both Sue and the Lost Girl, they resorted to prostitution after being thrown out of their houses by their husbands. When the Lost Girl asks, "Look at me, have you known me before?" the prostitutes respond accordingly, because by the time she was already one of them. However, when Sue asks the girls, "Look at me, tell me if you've known me before," they simply answer, "Yes, we will do that." They don't recognize her because by that time she hasn't slept with Billy yet, so she wasn't one of them. But this situation changes once Sue sleeps with Billy. The first time the girls see her after this, they greet her with, "Look at us and tell us if you've known us before." We later see the girls discussing Sue and Smithy's breakup. They give their respective opinions. One says she thought he was the one. Another says she saw it coming. They end up agreeing on the fact that Sue should get over it, and, in quotes, "tonight will make her stop being sad." Again, dancing is a euphemism to avoid mentioning the fact that they are going to prostitute themselves. So since they won't do this, since they would do this in the Inland Empire, it kind of makes sense that they would dance to the Locomotion and not just any song. The Inland Empire, where the house is located, is a region of California known for its abundance of trains and rails, hence the elusive sounds in the distance. I think I pointed that out during the viewing too. The Valley Girls' job, besides guiding Sue through this journey, was also to make her realize bit by bit that Smithy had left the house, but only Sue's life, was to make her realize bit by bit that Smithy hadn't left the house, but only Sue's life, and that she was a prostitute the whole time. To achieve this mission, they use the metaphor of dancing. Sue's final breakthrough happens when she screams after looking at the girls dancing and understanding what it really meant this whole time. They all greet her with a big hello. Yeah, see, got that? Inland Empire deals to a great extent with acting. This is where we get real meta, guys. It's about the connection between the performer, symbolized by Nikki, and the audience, symbolized by the Lost Girl, watching everything on screen. Lynch shows us the powerful connection that the audience members can build with the performers if presented with relatable stories and characters they can identify with. You know, good storytelling, like we're always talking about.
Yes.
See, Inland Empire explains the creative process of actors and the depths they will go in order to become their characters, reflecting method acting used by Robert De Niro, Daniel Day-Lewis, or Heath Ledger. It also presents the idea that an actor can really lose track of their identity while playing a role, but that in the long run, it's worth it because of the effect it can have on the audience and even the actors themselves. Nikki suffers through her performance, but this performance frees the Lost Girl by providing her catharsis and a feeling that she is not alone. Someone else is going through the same ordeal. This reflects the power of filmmaking and good performances, which can have deep impact on people. I'm going to pause right there in my notes and say, I think every single one of you can think of movies that you have seen that had a big impact on their lives, maybe gave you perspective on something you were going through.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if it was fictional, it had a real impact on your life. Nikki related to the role she was playing in such a way that she ended up confusing her real life from the film. This leads us to talk about how the Lost Girl also represents us, the viewer. She is watching what we are watching right now, the film Inland Empire, through which Lynch intends to wake us up and rescue us from being lost in the marketplace. All of this is very meta, but it's implied that enlightenment also requires Nikki to embrace the fact that she is also only a character and not real, a fact which she slowly becomes aware of through the film. Again, I want to take a divergence. What was it the Bard said? For the world's a stage and each of us plays a part. Lynch is kind of taking that literally. You know, not only do actors play a role, you know, and that is a fiction, but our lives are playing roles in our reality. But there is also a certain fiction to our lives in the grand scheme of eternity. We literally are playing a role, a very temporary one. After all, it's not only real people who can be enlightened. All that, in quotes, real really means in this context is something belonging to the same universe as the person judging it as real or unreal. And we know being real is not a requirement for enlightenment because we have characters from different universes in the mansion. People from Mulholland Drive, Wild at Heart, Twin Peaks, all of whom, from their perspectives, would consider each other unreal since the other characters don't exist in their world. Or maybe they do, referring to the possible crossovers of these worlds. And let's face it, when they all come together in the mansion, are they not now all part of the same world? Lynch is thus rejecting the idea of labeling something as unreal, offering the alternative of simply categorizing each person or object as real, but just not in our world. This is one of the many ways that the film breaks the boundaries of real and unreal. Are you listening, Kathleen Kennedy, you dumb bitch?
Okay.
Another example of this is the Phantom, who is the physical personification of a negative abstract concept like the mystery man from Lost Highway. I see you there, Boomer.
I like the mystery man.
Yep. The bum from Mulholland Drive, or Bob from Twin Peaks. Just like these characters, the Phantom isn't real. He's just an abstract concept we make up in our minds. As Albert Rosenfeld said, maybe that's all Bob is, the evil that men do. Maybe it doesn't matter what we call it. But also, just like these characters, the consequences it has on people are very real. And in that sense, he is also real. Ideas can be very powerful, but they have no power of their own. They can only have consequence if someone is open to them and acts on them. Sue sees her own face in the Phantom because ideas are a reflection of those who think them up. Like Visitor 1 says, evil was born as a reflection of humanity. When watching Twin Peaks, we may conclude that Bob possessed Leland against his will, but after watching the film, we find out that he was actually on the path from way before, and Bob just exploited this by merely aligning with it, fulfilling the Christian belief of demonic possession, which states that demons can't enter you randomly, but that a person has to let them in order for them to be able to possess someone.
Interesting.
Now, Fear Sieben is about a case of adultery avenged by a lover's spouse. When Nikki cheats on her husband and her husband finds out, this opens the door for a merging between her story and Sue's story. When Nikki's actions and the story of her film align, she loses herself in the story. The Phantom didn't force Nikki to cheat on her husband or Doris to kill Sue. The Phantom would be nothing without the people following his orders. While Nikki was only an unreal character, even to the Lost Girl, her actions had real-life consequences of liberation for her. This is reinforced by the other components, such as the quote about the spider. All of this goes to show that fictional works can inspire real changes, and that a story being fictional doesn't make it any less real, even if the spectator knows how fictional it is. Nikki's performance can inspire thousands of people, even if she is made to undergo so much pain just for the sake of a character. Something similar happens with all of the female singers whose songs are used in the film. They are all known to have suffered lots of abuse while keeping a happy face and continuing to make people happy. Again, these are there are only female singers in the soundtrack. So the fact that they, out of anyone else, were picked to be listened to in Inland Empire is not a coincidence, since the film, God bless you, Nutter,
Thank you.
deals with issues related to the injustice that women suffer, mainly at the hands of men. The unfair treatment of women, or the way that they are seen by society, is hinted at several times, with Sue being a housewife and a prostitute, Nikki being subjected to a possessive husband, and the Lost Girl being married to a murderous, jealous, and violent man. It is also possible. It is also a possibility that Nikki married Pietrek for his wealth, showing how some marriages can end up being similar to prostitution, where one person puts the money, puts out the money, and the other gives good looks and sex in exchange. Now, the rabbits. Lead's been wanting to know about the rabbits. Most of the scenes seen from the rabbits are excerpts reused from Lynch's earlier web series called, Rabbits. The web series should probably be analyzed separately, so I'm just addressing the rabbits in relationship to Inland Empire. Essentially, the rabbits are the Fear Sieben story in its most basic form. That's why they live in room 47. This story involves a man stuck between two women. He claims to have a secret referring to the infidelity itself. His wife says she's going to find out, and his lover prompts him to just come clean. The rabbit's home is physically located in the portal between the different dimensions. These dimensions can apparently be connected through telephones. That's why when Billy is too busy conquering the woman, Sue tries to call him, but she gets the rabbits. We can also tell that their home is between the dimensions because the cigarette burn on the silk makes a hole through it, creating a portal between worlds. The rabbits use the same type of portal to teleport Jack in and out of their house. They can also check on what's happening in the other worlds through the phone and intercept phone calls, such as when Nikki talks to Devin and Jack is on the phone listening to everything. We later find out that Pietrek had been traveling between dimensions and passing through the hallway of the rabbit's room while wearing a green coat. He makes noise outside their home, and the rabbits hear this. They constantly say the phrase, "It was red," referring to the unfaithful woman's blood spilled in the murder. We also know this because when Sue is about to be attacked, Mr. K says, and my Polish isn't great, czerwone, which means red in Polish. Jack also says, "Who could have known?" wondering how his wife found out about the affair. Sue gets out of Mr. K's office and is freaked out about knowing that Doris is trying to kill her. However, she then remembers all of this is just a film and none of it's real. To prove this, she snaps 4 times, and on the 4th snap, all the girls snap with her at the same time. When she reaches a 7th snap, making the number 47, she accepts her fate. When Doris approaches her and takes the screwdriver, she doesn't try to get it back and submits peacefully. Now, I mentioned when Deleted was saying, I wish we could tell the difference between Sue and Nikki. You can't. Sue's LB tattoo. Something that is important but easily overlooked is Sue's tattoo. At some point in her life, after being thrown out of her house, she got a tattoo with the letters LB and a red line on her right hand. I've seen theories trying to explain what the letters mean, but what's certain is that the tattoo helps us tell whether the person we're seeing is Sue or Nikki. Sue dies on the streets of LA, and she has the tattoo in all of those scenes, even when dying. After Sue dies, it's Nikki again, and the tattoo disappears. However, Nikki knows that what she must do. She must become Sue once again. She needs to go to the other world and get the gun to kill the Phantom. In order to do this, she takes off her blue robe because it belonged to Nikki and not Sue. She goes to the portal, and as soon as she enters Sue's world, she becomes Sue again, and the tattoo is back. Now, I think we covered, I think everyone's pretty clear on N, but there's more to it. The longest running radio play in history, the longest tale in the world, refers to the people getting lost in the marketplace. It is transmitted from the portal between dimensions, and there is a radio wave motif on the floor. This is not coincidental, but intentional. Axon N was a project Lynch had for a web series, but he never finished it. It was supposed to star Laura Dern and Justin Theroux. They shot a bunch of scenes without a script, and the project, together with other Lynch productions and ideas, eventually became Inland Empire. Now, we hear the song Polish Poem twice. The whole song is written from the Lost Girl's perspective and dedicated to Nikki. The lyrics go, "I sing this poem to you. On the other side, I see shining waves glowing. It's far away from here. I can see it there. I cry. I cannot feel the warmth of the sun. I cannot hear the laughter. I see the faces, but no one comes. Where are you? What will make me want to live and love? Tell me. All of this refers to the lost girl's fate of not being able to get out and watching everything on TV. She was certain that someone would come to rescue her, but no one did. But thanks to Sue, things are finally changing for her. Now, Fear Sieben, the number 47. The number 47 is formed by the combination of the energies of 4 and 7. In numerology, number 4 represents diligence, hard work, practicality, and building a solid foundation. Number 7 signifies spiritual awakening, inner wisdom, and intuition. Therefore, 47 is often interpreted as a number that encourages hard work, perseverance, and a connection to one's inner wisdom to achieve goals. And that's the end of my notes.
Okay.
So it's
So
one all
there's a
along.
lot to chew on. There's a lot to chew on here.
Yes, exactly. That's all my takeaway from this. I told you, when I dive deep. Did we lose you guys? Has everyone left the chat?
They're here.
Okay.
Who
I
here?
think some people might have fallen asleep on me. I don't
Geek
know.
Black says, "Who here thinks Troy should have gone first?" Ha ha! He's making a face.
Well, I felt that I had the answers to most of your, and it turns out the things that you guys said, I did have an answer for most of those things.
Exactly.
It's just, I think it's a little deeper than someone going crazy and losing herself in a role. I think, as I said, it was a commentary that David Lynch was making on how much these stories actually do matter, even if they are fiction, and that they're no less real because of the impact they have on the world. Think about it. Think about the classic films that we constantly revisit. There is a reason that they are classic. The archetypes of stories that are retold over and over and over again in different ways. Why? Because they resonate with us, because they carry important messages. So they are very real. And it is also why people get really pissed off when you go messing with those stories. You know, and this attitude that because it's fiction, we can do anything we want with them. No, you cannot. Because they are not yours alone. I'm sorry, Troy. I love you like a brother, but I don't think you had any answers. You just had much more questions. Okay.
All right, now there are characters that you were bringing up that I got mixed up on who they were.
Yeah, so this is another thing about David Lynch that and we kind of talked about this a lot as we were going through the episodes of The Return. Sometimes you have to pay attention to the closing credits and see how, who was that actor playing? How are they listed in the closing credits? Because sometimes that imparts some information as well. Like I said, the teacher is a real world person who is an expert in transcendental meditation. That's not just giving somebody an acting role because you like them and they're your friend and you want to get them in the film. He's sending a message, and it requires you to know who that person is, what their connection to David Lynch is, what their connection to transcendental meditation is. And then that has a bearing on who that character is in the film. So what I'm pointing out, yes, I may have raised more questions, but you have to answer those questions too. I'm telling you, there's a lot more here than what's just in the 3-hour movie we watched. There are deleted scenes, there are interviews, there are behind the scenes footage where you can see David Lynch giving specific directions. Those are all insights to what he was thinking and trying to convey and to bring out of the actors.
So maybe that's what I need to see.
If you have trouble getting a copy of it, let me know. I'll hook you up.
Okay. Because I'm getting the feeling that you're referencing scenes that aren't in the final film.
Yeah.
And the final film is all I have to go on. So you're throwing out character names that I don't.
Yeah.
Or
character names that you might know, but you don't know them by name because you have to read those closing credits and know who everyone is, you know. And if you don't know an actor and you don't know the character name, you might get lost when you get to those closing credits too. So that's why, you know, since I put the research time into it, I can help you out with some of those, you know. And then there's a lot of really heavy Polish names in there who don't have acting roles outside of this movie that it's like, okay, which one was that in the movie? Hold on, let me see. And all the Polish too. I mean, I don't speak Polish myself, so
the only Polish I know is Progi.
Progi, yes. Arian jest dom? I would always ask when I was going over to my buddy Adrian's house. I had to ask his grandmother if he was home, and she only spoke Polish. So, but yeah, that's so I guess if I was to take 16 pages of notes and simplify it down as much as I possibly could, I would say that David Lynch was doing a meta commentary on the way cinema and storytelling impacts our lives, how actors can get lost in their roles, and getting across a spiritual message about reincarnation and transcendental meditation. I don't think those themes are disputable. I think they are very, very demonstrable. Now, as we get into the weeds of every little thing, even David Lynch would be like, yeah, and I don't know. It's just imagery. Because as I was researching for this movie, I ran across an interview where he was talking about Mulholland Drive, and regarding the blue box and the key, he goes, yeah, I don't know what those are. I'm like, oh, really? Well, okay. Sometimes it's the things that he admits he doesn't know what they are exactly actually tells you something too. It's like looking at the negative space, you know, to parse things out. I don't think so, especially when we're talking about behind the scenes stuff. I think a lot of times, especially with movies like this, and this has been David Lynch's curse, is he films a bunch of stuff he wants in the movie, and then the production company comes and gives him crap about it, you know, and says, we need to shorten this. This was a 3-hour movie, you know. We broke it up into 2 parts because it was too long for our format. So I do believe he intended those deleted scenes to be seen. You know, that's why he released them. Keep in mind too, he didn't have to make them available to be put on DVD. That's also an intention on David Lynch's part. And they were digital. He could have erased them if he wanted to.
Do you wish you could have seen the original Rabbit series as it was intended?
Well, I intend to.
Okay.
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Okay.
It's out there. It's
yes, it is.
I think it's like 42 minutes in all, something like that.
Yeah.
And, 42, 48, something in that time frame. I I haven't watched the whole thing either, but I mean I was familiar. I was familiar with it going in, so I knew the rabbit stuff was coming.
I'm wondering
I
if it's
didn't
on
know how
the.
it was going to.
I wonder if they're on the lime green box, because I know that there is a mystery disc on here, and I haven't actually watched it yet, so I'm going to have to check that out. But yeah.
Yeah, you watch the mystery disc and it's like deleted scenes from a movie that's not even his. Just there.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
That would be funny. No, I don't think David Lynch would erase anything either. I'm just saying that if he chose to, he could have, and he didn't. And moreover, not only did he not destroy it, he released it on the DVD. Remember, David Lynch is very specific about what comes out on DVDs, and even the formatting on DVDs. You know, many of his DVDs don't even have chapter breaks. They're not allowed to. That's a mandate on his part. So,
Boo.
Well, because he wants it to be seen the way it's intended to be seen.
I know.
You know, straight through, beginning to end. There's nothing he can do about the fact that you can rewind and play and rewind and pause, you know, but maybe certain scenes you want to keep rewinding and pausing, and just saying. But
what did you learn? What struck you as most out of your deep dive? What did you learn this time that you didn't know before that struck you, that stood out the most? I'm curious.
I was surprised to find out about Ann on N and the rabbits being earlier projects that got pulled into Inland Empire. Telling me, like I said, I gotta check out the rabbits. That's another thing we're gonna have to do. And if it's 42 minutes, that's something we could absolutely watch here too, and try to dig into a little bit, keeping it separate to the degree that we can from this, because how it's used here, I suspect, is different than how it was originally presented. So, or maybe it's not. I'll come to that conclusion after I've seen it. But yeah. See, this is why I also, and I mentioned this earlier on in our little trek in this is why I feel that when David Lynch says that Eraserhead is his most spiritual film, I'm like, really? More so than Inland Empire? This seems like a whole love letter to his spiritual beliefs and reincarnation and transcendental meditation and all that stuff. I mean, overtly, you know? But that's just my opinion.
Well, we're all entitled to our opinions, right?
Yeah, but now what I have to do is I need to seek out, see if Cameron has said anything about this, see if Josh Eisenstadt has done any commentaries on this. I would love to hear Josh Eisenstadt say, that's very interesting, Troy. I disagree completely. I could see him say it. We have had conversations about Twin Peaks, and there are some things that he said exactly that about.
This movie's about death.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
No, I'm just trying to think what's the laziest thing I can say.
No, I mean, you're actually right. I mean, it really is about, life and how it ends and what happens after it, and, maybe life again.
You're very quiet, Stephen.
He's thinking.
I'm still trying to figure it all out.
I still like that locomotion number in the movie.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't add to my notes was also that Doctor Who uses dancing as an allusion to horizontal dancing.
Oh,
remember
really?
the episode The Doctor Dances?
Yes.
It is implied that he and Rose have danced.
What?
Yep. It comes up again with the girl in the fireplace.
Of course.
The Doctor dances. And of course, Madame de Pompadour being played by his real life wife. Well, the woman who became his real life wife.
It's very, that's a whole nother level of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Doctor Who, I can't help you with that. I have tried on several occasions to get into that show.
You guys, we have 13 after tonight. We have 13 more episodes of Blake 7. I really want to head into Doctor Who after that, but I think a lot of people would prefer that I go Red Dwarf. So
he looks over at me.
Well, you're not the only one. But yes.
Would you like to?
I'm probably going to. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
I've got 13 weeks for us to decide.
Are there any other big British sci-fi shows? There was Tripods, but I don't know if I ever got into that one.
I did, and I never got to see the end of it because our PBS affiliate stopped carrying.
Did it have an ending?
I think so. I think they did all 3 books. Wasn't it 3 books?
I think so. Yes.
I remember that very vaguely. I don't know if I ever.
It was basically War of the Worlds if the Martians had won and taken over the Earth, right? And this
kinda, yeah.
Which, believe it or not, was actually H.G. Wells' intent for the ending of that. The Martians were going to win, but the publisher said no.
Oh yeah.
That's why he had to come up with the idea, I think, for the what was it, the disease getting them?
Yeah, minor virus, kills them all. Yeah, I actually read a very interesting in an anthology, and I could not find it again if I tried. A story about humans have just become spacefaring and are encountering, aliens, and there's some sort of like galactic federation, and they're beginning to interact with them and everything, and the aliens want to treat humans like they're low class noobs or whatever,
right?
And they try to I don't know when this was written, if it was before or after COVID, but they try to put a quarantine on a human freighter because they're carrying a disease that can kill everyone in the galaxy, everyone they come in contact with. And they're like, you're not going to quarantine us. We don't recognize your authority. But, if this is going to kill us all, well, we'll just stay until we're all dead. And then they don't die. They literally get better from it, and they treat it like, he says it doesn't even keep me from working. I have muscle aches and a fever, and that's it. I still have work to do. And it turned, huh?
This is which one now?
It was a story I read in a sci-fi anthology. And the aliens are so shocked, and they're like, oh yeah, we have this immune system that usually adapts to most diseases. If it doesn't kill us right away, we overcome and adapt it. And this was not something that most of these other aliens had. So they're like, can you help us? Yeah, we can isolate these antibodies. We do it all the time. And so they start, mass producing the antibodies to share with the aliens to wipe out this disease in the galaxy, and it's actually kind of tongue in cheek and funny. You know, it's like, you're gonna die. No, we're not. I feel just fine. You know,
I don't want to go.
I feel
I'm
fine.
feeling better.
I'm feeling much better. But yeah. Deleted. You don't like Doctor Who? That's it. I'm unsubscribing. Well, It depends on when you're talking about, Nate. If we're talking about anything after Unearthly Child, I don't like Doctor Who either.
You mean Timeless Child?
Timeless Child, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Unearthly Child.
That would just be the whole show.
Yeah. I don't like the entire Doctor Who. Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right. When I was a kid, it was Tom Baker. So that was the Doctor Who that I knew, and it was on PBS, and it was a little over my head at the time. But you know, I understood it for what it was. You know, and I got, okay, look, it's a British series. Maybe I'm not meant to get it, but you know, I can respect it for the fact that there was 60 years of lore, and they decided to sacrifice that on this, on the altar of the wokeness or whatever, this virtue signaling. And so I can understand somebody growing up on that program and seeing what it has now become at the hands of a man who is supposed to be, quote unquote, the savior of the series.
Yeah.
So I can understand that betrayal, because I'm seeing that happen now with Star Trek. Star Trek has become something that is difficult for me to watch now.
Yeah, well, don't bother investing in any of this new stuff, because when Kurtzman's contract ends, all of that's going to be wiped away.
But we have the Starfleet Academy show coming out.
Doesn't matter.
How they dragged Holly Hunter into that, I don't know. But
I don't know how Paul Giamatti's on it too. I don't get how they got Michelle Yeoh on all these things. She was like the biggest leading lady in China. I don't understand. They keep getting these.
There's two things that they do. First, they count on these actors to think this is a big franchise thing, and they're going to be hugely popular, and are counting on them not knowing any of the fan backlash about things that have been going on. That's one. Number two, lots and lots of money.
Yeah, well.
And most of these actors come in and say, I need the money. I need a job. It's an acting job. It pays. You know?
Whatever gets them the Benjamins.
Money. Lots and lots of money.
Tom Connors did a great cover of that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but I am not only planning to have another karaoke show in August, but I'm gonna reach out to Tom and ask if he wants to, like, right from the get-go, be a co-host or whatever, you know. I'll send him a personal invitation. But he actually sounded better than I remember the song being.
You can sing now. Nate says, I believe that the Doctor Who ended with Peter Capaldi. His episode
That's fair.
Poorly towards the end, but at least it was still Doctor Who. Everything after that was pure shit. Or I should say shite.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I was willing to put in the time up until I even watched the first few episodes of Dr. Her, just until they got to the what was it again? The Deadly Child, the
Timeless Child.
Timeless Child. Yeah, Timeless Child. once they got there, that completely broke the canon, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was able to accept all the rest of it could have been canon, even if this character made absolutely zero sense. But after that, I could easily headcanon back and even say, you know what? As much as I liked some of Peter Capaldi's stories, I'm happy with Matt Smith's was the last Doctor. He didn't get any new regenerations, and he just died at Trenzalore. That's the end. Roll credits. Let's go on to another series.
Okay, so explain that to me, Trenzalore.
So when you have a character who is, out of time, right? They introduce a character named River Song who has a relationship with the Doctor that is non-linear. Most of the viewers see the Doctor in a linear fashion. Most of the companions see him in a linear fashion. River Song sees him like the time traveler's wife. In fact, she is in one of her episodes is the time traveler's wife, where she actually does marry the Doctor. But her encounters with him are all out of order. In fact, for her, the last time she sees the Doctor ever is the first time, from our perspective, the Doctor is meeting her, which is incredibly interesting. But that's a side note. Because they start telling these really interesting nonlinear stories, part of which River Song has a journal of all her encounters with the Doctor, so that when they meet up, first, she doesn't want to tell him anything he shouldn't know yet because spoilers, but also, she doesn't want to be trying to have a conversation about things he doesn't know about. So did we do this? Did we have this adventure? Did this happen? Oh, yeah, I remember that one. That was okay, so they can kind of queue up. Anyway, throughout time, people know of a prophecy that the Doctor is going to die at a place called Trenzalore. And that's literally where he's going to die. That's the end. And throughout, from the time that that's revealed to us in story until that Trenzalore story actually happens, the Doctor is just trying to avoid ever going to Trenzalore. It's an incredibly interesting and just emotional series of stories. But it culminates in, as again, being true to canon, going all the way back to the original Doctor. The Doctor only has 13 incarnations, 12 regenerations. And if he was ever to get more regenerations, they would have to come from the Time Lords. But as we know, in the modern stories of Doctor Who, the Time Lords are no more because of the Time War. So he can't get more regenerations. If he dies at Trenzalore and he can't regenerate because he's on his last regeneration, that's it. But of course they pull a whammy, and his companion reaches out through a crack in time to the Time Lords and say, you've got to help him. He's helped you so many times. And they send the regeneration energy through the crack, and the Doctor gets another set of 12 regenerations, which is how he ends up becoming Peter Capaldi. Really a good story, but I'd be okay with giving up that story and saying, yeah, can't reach the Time Lords. This is where he dies. The end.
That, and just off of what you're telling me, end it before he steps out of the regeneration booth or whatever, and you don't see Capaldi. You just know that he has regenerated in his
That's
mind.
usually how they ended a lot of these, unless they already had the next doctor lined up. A lot of times they would do that. In fact, interestingly, they inserted a doctor in the middle there, because we never see the regeneration between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston, who was reviving the role in 2005. So they actually added a doctor in between. So Paul McGann becomes John Hurt, and then John Hurt becomes Christopher Eccleston. And because they couldn't get the rights from, they couldn't get Christopher Eccleston to come back for that regeneration scene, and he wouldn't give the rights to his likeness to be used. You see John Hurt start to regenerate, and it's implied that he's then turning into Christopher Eccleston.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the episode Blank that he's referencing, correct?
You should watch the episode Weeping Angels. You would enjoy it without knowing anything about Doctor Who. I have made this exact same recommendation to a lot of my friends. If you've never seen an episode of Doctor Who and you just want to see a really good episode that stands on its own, watch the episode Blink. Yes.
Okay.
It's called Blink, not Weeping Angels. Yeah. But it's about the Weeping Angels, and it's funny because the Doctor and his companion have a very, very small role, and they don't even show up till like midway through the episode. It's all told from the point of view of someone named Sally Sparrow, and when
Carey Mulligan.
It was Carey Mulligan. Yeah, I had never seen her in anything else before, and she. I had the episode because I had the whole season on DVD. I brought it over to a buddy's house and said, "You're going to watch this. You've never seen Doctor. You're going to watch this." And he's like, "It starts en medias res with this Sally Sparrow," and he's like, "I don't know who this is." I'm like, "I didn't either when I saw this. You don't have to know anything. Just watch the episode. Trust me. You don't have to ask me anything. Everything will be explained in the narrative." And he was like, "You're absolutely right. Everything was explained. It all worked out perfectly." I may actually, Nate, I'm thinking, and Deleted, and anyone else here who's a member of my channel, I might want to do Blink for a watch party for members one time.
I can go with that.
You would go with that? Yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That is it's probably my favorite Doctor Who episode.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's standalone,
It is. And it is brilliant writing. It really is. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've totally gotten us off topic.
Okay.
And we got to wrap this up because we got to wrap up Blake 7 too.
Okay. So, Kapla to our resident Klingon, Mark Malnikoff. Thank you for joining us. JP saying that he would watch Blink. Okay. Nasa said that was great writing. That's why the episode was so good. When you can write an episode of the show with your main character not in it and let it be your best episode, that's good writing. Yeah, and they did that on a series called Crossing Jordan with Jill Hennessy. And there's an episode that she's not in, at all. And I think it's the best episode because they just let Miguel Ferrer kick ass for an hour. So
that's a good choice.
Yeah. And hello to the Horror King. We are about to wrap it up. All right. So one time around the horn, Boomer, what do you got coming up?
This Friday I will be on Last Call with Troy Pacelli, but you can Troy might get more details on that. And then this Sunday, Geeky Geezers will have some exciting news, which I don't know what that is yet. Hopefully fewer celebrity deaths because we're losing way too many of them lately.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've already got Ryan Sandberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Never.
Well, let's see. On Thursday, there's this older couple that, they're just really near dear to me that I'm going to be guesting, or I'm going to have as guests on Thursday things. But they celebrate their 33rd wedding anniversary. They're really a sweet older couple. And I would love it if all of you came to celebrate with Troy and myself as we celebrate our anniversary.
Yeah. 33 years of Netter not strangling me in my sleep.
I've been tempted.
I know. I don't blame you.
Let's see. Then Saturday is Retro Cinema on my channel. Well, we'll be watching G.I. Jane.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just guesting everywhere else. Like literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Joy.
Right after this, we're going to be heading over to my channel for Blake 7, the last episode of season 3, called Terminal. I'm hoping you're already over there, Mark. This is one you're going to want to see for sure. Tomorrow, Liquid Lunch is WTF Wednesday. Not sure what I'm going to be ranting about, but Wednesday's the day to rant. And Netter told you about Thursday. Boomer was starting to tell you about Friday. We'll be talking some updates on the AI news.
They're taking over. It's all taking over.
They really are. They really are.
Freaking me out, and it's. I didn't think we'd have enough information. There's been so many things that happened since we had the last stream. So yeah,
you really have. Saturday G.I.J. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
Cool.
All right. To answer Horror King's question, Netter, I'm going to assume that the logo came from Nate.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a logo that. Oh, I'm sorry. The one that I have right now, the that you're seeing. No, that one I grokked that one a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not something that she made official. It's just something she sometimes uses.
Yeah, it's like I'll cycle through different ones just to do something different. Because, like, let's see. There's that one. Edit avatar. There's that one. Thursday things. I've got that one. Avatar. That one. So I'll cycle through them just for something different.
Yep.
And as for myself, of course, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern will be Action Theater, hosted by Outlaw Bill and myself. We will be rounding out Kaiju Lie with Godzilla versus Kong. And then later that night will be my program Coming Attractions, and you'll be finding out what I'll be up to in the next week after that. All right. Well, that rounds out the show for tonight. I hope we answered some questions. I'm sure we we probably have some more. All right. Well, go to the let me call it fandom. Yeah, fandom wiki. That's the link is in the chat. It gives you a little bit more information on Inland Empire. I'm going to see if I can't snag the 2-disc set and maybe answer the rest of my questions. And all right, Netter, would you like to take us out with your closer?
I want to thank y'all for being here tonight and showing your support and your love to all the members here on the panel. You can be anywhere and you're here. And that just means so much to all of us. So thank you for being a part of our family. Thank you for all of your support. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Mhm.
Oh, and if you stay right here, you'll be redirected to Blake 7.
Right.
And if you are watching on my channel, you will be redirected as well. And
Same
as
here.
as we had over 30 people watching at one point, so thank you all for joining us. Thank you to everybody who's following along on X. Thank you to everyone who is lurking, and of course, thank you to everyone who is here in the chat. From HQ, the corner of Sparkwood and 21, and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy. The safest place on this ship is right behind Troy, because this is how we win.